All right, everybody, welcome back. And this is just a follow-up video to the previous one where we discussed double sabotage and the extremely kind of vexing problem of negotiations, what to do with them, how to make them equitable when you have transactions among growers, so that each party feels like, they got a piece of the pie, they got a fair part of the action, right? And so that's kind of the problem I was struggling with, but I think I may have already solved my own problem. What I figured out was the best scenario that I can think of right now is that, well, that sabotage should remain an action. Okay, so let's just go ahead and follow the example. If I continue to, I've rolled a die roll 6, right? I rolled my die roll, and then I decide, okay, I want to sabotage somebody. I'm still in the first growing season, right? And so I'm well within my rights to do this. But sabotage is an action, and I'm going to lose an action if I do it. But in this case, I think it's worth it, right? So let's say, for instance, this person over here has cucumbers, right? And I say, wait a minute, I just rolled a 6, so I want to sabotage your cucumbers. And so I bring the sabotage, and then the grower, the grower in this corner doth protest too much, right? And so what happens is they say, hey man, I don't want to give up my cucumbers, put a lot of effort into that. So and it has an oopta potential, right? Sitting on an oopta potential. They don't want to part ways with your cucumbers, and so they say, hey, wait a minute. Why don't we think of something I can give you in exchange? So if we look and see what they got. In this case, they got, what do you got? Kale, we got corn. The best item that we can give them is some kale, right? And so that's what we're going to do. This person is going to say, "Hey, I'll give you the kale in exchange for not sabotaging me." And this grower over here says something like to the effect, "Well, and this is where things get kind of tricky, right? Because now, if they agree to do the negotiation, then what happens is sabotage is no longer an action." We went in with the idea of we're going to lose an action, but since negotiations are changing our mind, then it's going to become the action reduces to an activity. So the way to keep this clear is pretty simple. Sabotage is always an action. It's an aggressive maneuver against other growers, but negotiation is sort of a compromise or an appeasement, right? And so that's an activity, right? And so in this case, this grower does get the kale. They get the kale, right? They also get to get rid of something they don't want. So that's an added bonus, right? Get rid of their little spinach, right? And now, here's the best part for this grower. They still have 2 actions, right? And so you might say, well, wait a minute. The drawback to this is if this person has 2 actions and then they just got this wonderful crop, aren't they on the winning end of this? But the other aspect of this, the other side to that argument is, well, you know what? Ultimately, though, this person didn't get sabotaged. They are still probably going to collect on their investment, right? They invested in those cucumbers. They're going to get a collect, right? And so, in that sense, I can only surmise that both parties have achieved something equitable. This party has no. They have cucumbers still standing, and then this party over here, they picked up some kale. They got to get rid of something they didn't like, and they get 2 actions on top of that. So And you know, initially, it is this party that rolled the 6, right? They really should have, you know, if there's going to be any edge at all, it's going to be that this party who initiated the sabotage, right? It's their turn after all. So that's sort of how I feel about that. And so that, I think, kind of answers the question. It's a very good, the ability to compromise is a big deal in UPTA, and I think it's on display here with negotiations and sabotage kind of canceling each other out. So long as sabotage begins as an action and negotiations begins as an activity, it should be crystal clear. So all around, I think that's a pretty good compromise, a pretty good, I think that's a pretty good solution to the problem at hand. So let me know what you think if you get a chance to look at this, or if you have alternative solutions, let me know, okay? All right, so thank you everyone, and have a good day.